Has the Federal Reserve killed the Bitcoin bull run? Well, in today's video, we'll be diving into that topic as well as looking at the technicals as well as some exciting news coming out of Spain. My name is Lark. Every day I make videos talking about cryptocurrency investing. So if that's a topic you'd like to learn some more about, maybe just stay up to date with, then you should definitely subscribe to the Lark Davis channel. Also, if you can take a quick second to tap on that thumbs up button for the YouTube algorithm, that would be totally awesome, obviously. And of course, if you'd like to receive notification when I put out a new video, you should click on that notification bell. By the way, if you are a cryptocurrency trader, then you need to get yourself an account over on Femex. You can long and short Bitcoin, Ethereum, Chainlink, Cardano, Tezos, all of the top coins. And for a limited time, you can get up to a $3,600 trading bonus by using the link down below in the description, making your first trades, making your deposits up to 1 Bitcoin. As well, you'll get 10% off of your fees by using that link. Now, let's go ahead and get into the technicals. What the heck is going on with Bitcoin? So, we are still obviously in a downtrend for Bitcoin. We did have this little attempt here to break out of that downtrend. We have redrawn the line. Now the price to beat for Bitcoin around $45,000, $46,000 here actually could potentially push us out of this current downtrend that Bitcoin is in. Obviously, that is an area that had a lot of price support and will offer price resistance as we come up to try and meet it. However, have a look at this because this is absolutely crazy. Let's reset the price scale here. Have a look at this. Bitcoin found resistance around $40,000 back January 2021. We also found resistance in this area again, June 2021. We found support in this area, September 2021. We have found support again in this area, January 2022. It'll be interesting to see if this previous area of resistance here and here has now successfully been twice flipped into support. That would, of course, be a bullish thing if it were to be the case. All of this crazy price action where to basically just come back down to this old area of price support for Bitcoin. Pretty interesting stuff to see. Of course, obviously, we want to see that support actually hold. Fingers crossed. Obviously, if we lose this area of support, the next big area of support is down here around $37,500. Now, I still do have bids in for Bitcoin at $40,050 and $38,050. So we'll see if we get those filled over the coming week, although there is a chance that this could have been the extent of the sell-off for this time based on this right here. And by the way, I did buy some Bitcoin around $41,500. So I did add to my stack. I didn't get it as low as I could have got it. Say la vie. Can't always get what you want to get, apparently. But I got some good prices on it, so I'm happy with that. Now, I just want to point this out. This is the relative strength index. So the current RSI is the lowest it has been in a very long time. The last time the RSI was this low, May 21st, 2021. Of course, that was the big, like, oh my gosh, the sky's falling, the world's collapsing kind of sell-off day after, of course, the initial all-time high at about $65,000 or so. We saw the price just absolutely freaking plummet. Of course, we got down to minus 50%, a little over minus 50%, I think, during that massive sell-off that we had here. So that is the last time the RSI was this low, and you can actually see it was lower than it currently is. And the previous time before that was, well, back in the big COVID crash in March 2020. You can see the RSI got all the way down to 15 on the daily. Pretty gosh darn brutal without a doubt. Now, I'd like to say, just because the RSI is currently the lowest that it has been in a very long time does not mean that it cannot go lower. Oh, it can always go lower. It can always go lower. Just remember that. However, it being this low right now definitely does indicate that the sellers are reaching a point of exhaustion here in the market. We see Bitcoin being oversold currently. So we did have a just barely oversold reading for Bitcoin here back in early December, although we have not had much price recovery since then. Now, there's a chart I want to share with you from Smart Contractor. He's a great TA guy over on Twitter. So what he is looking at here is that we could actually be in a bit of a wave situation here, where we actually had, this is our first run up. This is the A, the B, the C, and then of course we could then see the rest of this playing out in a pretty interesting way over the rest of the year, and potentially going, of course, into 2023. This structure is very, very similar to what we saw happening back in 2019, just on a bit of a bigger scale. So this happened over a shorter time period. We can see the very similar structure here. Big run up, huge correction, big run up, huge correction. Everybody thinking, of course, that's it, that's the end, everything's gonna go down forever now, and then a massive, massive rally. Now, the time frames in this situation could be stretched out longer. We've seen this right here is a year of price action. So if we follow along a similar pattern of something that happened within about a 2 or 3 month time period, this whole pattern could take 2 years to play out, which means we're only about halfway through this bull market if that is the case. This, of course, lines up with the lengthening cycle theory. And of course, this chart is some very interesting food for thought for you, isn't it? If we end up playing out like this, well, we could have a very, very exciting year with obviously lots of scary volatility as we go through that year. But very interesting chart here I want to share with you. The Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index, of course, very, very low over the week, and we actually got down to a 10 reading, which is a lot of fear in the market, and obviously fear always equals opportunity. I was buying Bitcoin during that time because when I see these kinds of low fear readings, when I see that kind of oversold RSI situation, it says to me at the time that I will take a nibble and add some more to my position. We can see that this fear reading here down at 10 was actually, so that's 8 January, we had a fear and greed index reading of 10. That's the lowest fear reading that we have had since the 21st of July, 2021, when the price reached like $29,000, something like that on that day. Everybody, of course, again, panicking, the world is ending, all that fun kind of stuff that we usually have when we have the price correcting like that. But of course, massive blowout periods of fear tend to come before periods of greed. Just how it works in the markets. So does that mean we're going tomorrow to start blasting back up and that was it? No, we still, of course, as mentioned, need to break through some barriers here. We've got this downtrend to contend with. We still have to get past this previous support, this support, which now is going to be resistance. Got to flip past that. But, you know, the markets are looking rough, but there's always opportunity within rough markets, and fear does tend to come before times of greed. How long will it take us to get back there? Who knows? But that is what tends to happen. Just a bit of a reminder for you as well, Bitcoin is now the top performing asset class for 3 years in a row. You can see 2019, 95%, 2020, 301%, 2021, 66.5%. 2018, of course, we did not get it because 2018 was a rough year for Bitcoin. If you were around back then, it was quite the year. It was quite the year without a doubt. Very, very interesting. Now, look, this is just Bitcoin. If we bring in Ethereum or dog coins or any other stuff, well, we start to get very, very different numbers. But you have to think the big money guys, the people we need to come in and, bring trillions of dollars into this market. This is what they are looking at. They are looking at Bitcoin and going, it's the best performing asset class 3 years in a row. Why don't I have any Bitcoin yet? Now, real quick, before we get into the Fed news, I just want to share this with you. A Spanish lawmaker has proposed a bill to make Spain a Bitcoin mining hub following Kazakhstan internet shutdown. Nice. I approve of that. That sounds really, really cool. I love Spain. Spain's amazing, obviously. Seeing them become a major Bitcoin mining hub would be a very cool move, I think, for Spain. Obviously, what's happened in Kazakhstan is we have this repressive government that has now shut off the internet, which brought the hash rate of Bitcoin down by like 15, 16%, something like that. It's a problem if you're trying to mine Bitcoin and they turn the internet off. which is exactly what's happened. I don't think Spain is going to turn off the internet on Bitcoin miners. So again, we may see Bitcoin miners looking for a new home, and if Spain can act fast enough, they could potentially attract some of those miners into the European Union, which would be a positive thing for Spain. Countries out here trying to lure in the Bitcoin miners because they realize it's good business. I love it. Now, let's talk about the Fed. So, the market expects, so we're going to find out on Wednesday, of course, what the official numbers for the consumer price index was, but we are expecting a rise of 0.4% again in the consumer price index to get us up to 7.1% for the month of December for inflation. So inflation up to 7.1%, that is the estimate right now. It's so funny that people are freaking out about this because Bitcoin is an inflation hedge, and yet people are selling their inflation hedge because inflation's high and they're worried about what the Federal Reserve's going to do. Bitcoin was designed as a big middle finger to central banks. And yet here we are going, oh gosh, the Fed's going to put the rates up. Let's sell our Bitcoin. Doesn't compute to my brain, but okay, some people do want to do that. Now, I think taking a broader market perspective, if the consumer price index, if the inflation's actually higher than anticipated, we could see some rockier times in the market mid-week. You know, the sell-off could not be over yet. That's why I still have lower bids in for Bitcoin. If it is lower than expected, the markets might react in a favorable manner. So, of course, we'll watch and see how that plays out here over the next few days. But I think this is going to be the big story of the week. What's happening with the consumer price index? What were the official figures for December? Federal Reserve, man, it's crazy. You know, here we are, we're in this situation where we're anticipating the Federal Reserve. They're going to be doing rate hikes this year. We know this. But you have to understand, the rate hikes are like 0.25% up, and they're not going to take the rates up to like 5%, 10%, something like that. They can't go much above zero. The whole economic house of cards is a mess. It's a whole shambles. They can't take the interest rates up too high. So the market's reacting quite strongly here because they think the Fed's about to pop the bubble on the equity markets. Everything's gonna start falling to pieces here. But the Fed only has so much power. Now, Alex Kruger, he said, how does the Fed, what they're doing right now, matter for crypto? He says that crypto assets are the furthest end of the risk curve. Just as they benefited from extraordinarily lax monetary policy, they suffer from unexpectedly tight monetary policy. So a lot of the market is looking at crypto as a very, very risky asset, which obviously it is a risky, volatile asset class, but they will get off that risk in a time when they think that they need to run to safer assets, which is ironic again because Bitcoin's supposed to be a safe haven inflation hedge asset, right? But a lot of the broader market's not treating it like that. A lot of these institutional players and stuff coming in, they don't treat it like that necessarily. Some of them do. Some of the billionaires and stuff coming in, they do look at Bitcoin like that. But I think that it hasn't really caught on for enough of the market participants to have that kind of mindset towards it. Ironically, they're probably going to sell Bitcoin and go into gold or something like this, which is ridiculous. Ridiculous, guys. Bob Lucas also weighed in on it. He said lots of folks bearish on stocks with plenty of narratives to support being bearish. But we just made a new all-time high last week for stocks, which is, of course, crazy. And all of those narratives, inflation, tapering, rates, supply, have been around for some time already. He says trusting a pretty strong trend above all else. And that is true. All of this stuff, inflation's been going crazy for a year. Markets just keep pumping. Tapering was announced. Markets pumped up to a new all-time high. Rate hikes were announced. Markets pumped up to an all-time high. I mean, the stock markets did. Crypto didn't. But, you know, c'est la vie. Bitcoin's off doing its own thing. But this is very, very true. We have all these bearish narratives that keep being thrown out. And every couple months you hear somebody saying it's going to be the end of all things. This is it. The new Great Recession is here. The end times are here for the American equity markets, all this stuff, and it just never happens. They keep pumping more money into the markets. They keep buoying up the markets with more money. And yeah, I know we have the tapering going on, but that doesn't mean that the markets are necessarily going to roll over. You have to remember the markets had plenty of new all-time highs before they started the asset buying program. So you have to keep that in mind when you start looking at these situations here. Dan Tapiero weighing in as well, saying the most bullish macro backdrop in 75 years, booming economy supported by massive negative real rates. And I think that's something very important. It's not just the inflation. The inflation is massive too, but you have negative real rates happening here. Cash is trash. Cash is a trap. It's such a crazy thing. You have to be in assets, but I was worried that the asset prices are going to go down because of what the Fed is doing. But if you're in cash, you're guaranteed to lose because they're inflating it away like crazy. Damned if you do, damned if you don't, right? That's why I just keep investing. Dan Tapiero says stay long stocks, stay long Bitcoin and Ethereum, hodl through short-term volatility. Real dollar cash savings will continue to lose value. I completely freaking agree with him. Short-term volatility, it's here, it's normal, it's crazy sometimes, but it's exactly what happens in these markets. The Federal Reserve is not our friend. We should start putting a bit less importance on what the freaking Fed says, but unfortunately a lot of people think that the Fed is very important, especially all the Wall Street types which have entered into the cryptocurrency market. The reality is, though, cash is trash, the dollar's going down, they are out of control of the ship. They act like they are in control, but they are not in control. The real value of dollars is plummeting. Inflation's skyrocketing. It's happening everywhere. It's not just the U.S. We talk about the U.S. because it's the biggest economy, but it's happening freaking everywhere, guys. The Fed is never going to equalize rates with inflation, as Dan says right here, and I completely agree with him. They're never going to correct the ship. The Fed's never been able to do it before. Why are they going to start doing it now? Why does everybody believe the Fed's magically going to fix everything? They have never been able to do it. They're not going to be able to do it now. I'm staying in my Bitcoin. I'm staying in my ETH. I'm staying in my altcoins. Of course, I continue to take profits and all that stuff. And a lot of those profits actually end up into the stock markets, other things as well, metals and whatnot. But yeah, just keep investing, man. Just keep investing because fiat is not going to end well. Nope. Anyway, just my two stories for the day. Your question, are you worried about all the stuff happening over at the Fed, or are you just stacking sats and chilling? That's what this guy's doing. Anyway, love to hear your opinion down below in the comment section. Thanks so much for watching today's video, and peace out till next time.